Girls is players too. Uh, yeah, yeah, cause girls is players too.
All right, all right, all
Girls is
right. Good morning, and welcome to the next episode of Girls Are Players Too. I am the mama.
And I'm the daughter.
Why did that tickle your fancy so much?
That's why you so aggressive.
Well, we up, we ready, so may as well kick it off, right?
Bright-eyed and
So
bushy-tailed.
that's right. NBA playoffs, Western Conference Finals. We have a winner.
Dum, dum, dum.
The Oklahoma City Thunder have prevailed. They defeated Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1.
Gentlemen sweep.
Yeah, and they got blitzed. Like it was not even close. Like I think they had like 14 points at the end of the first quarter. So I mean, that was definitely a recipe for disaster for Minnesota.
Mhm.
Different people have their theories about, why they lost or whatnot. But I mean, Minnesota made it to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row,
Yep.
led by Anthony Edwards, who is 23 years old. And, you know, people expect these players to have some level of maturity in light of their the competition that they're facing. Shea Gilgis Alexander was the MVP. Oklahoma clearly was the better team overall, but I thought Minnesota did well. So, I guess I'm just curious. Like after a game like that, a series, your season is done, and you lose. Like how do you feel?
Yeah, media is always going to push the envelope to get what they need. But it's like, yes, this is the sport, this is their profession, so they still have to be professional. But this is like my moniker for this time. We're still humans. And we should be able to feel and just, take it all in. And to have to do an interview and put on a face, like they know they lost. So what else is there to talk about? What do you need to know?
Well, right. I mean, and they ask you questions like, "Do you feel fatigue was a factor?" And how do you feel about? How do I feel? I lost. Like,
I lost and I'm tired because I'm still playing months after the regular season ended. Like, what else do you want from these people? Now, if he
right,
just said, "Man, get that mic out my face," then it's like, "Oh, he's mad." And yes, he's mad. He All players still want to keep playing, and they're not. So give them some space to breathe. Like again, what y'all saw the game, so you know the outcome. So to ask any question, yeah, maybe they were tired. Maybe well, not maybe. The Thunder was just a better team. The obvious are stated. You don't need to ask for a reiteration of what you already know.
right, right. Well, and as we're almost at the end of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. I just wanted to slightly pivot and just talk about that aspect, of how people are interviewed. I know after game 2, um, Anthony Edwards had a monstrous game and they ended up losing, and he did not show up for the interview. He didn't want to talk to reporters after the game. And it's like, you know, should there be penalties, or is there any type of solace that you give to these athletes when they lose a game, or when things are not going well for them, but yet because of their profession and because of whatever they do, their celebrity status, and the fact that he's the face of his team, you're not granted an interview. I know that there could be penalties. I don't believe he was fined for that, but I just, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, when I was playing and things, I was at a Division 2 level, so our games weren't on ESPN, and we didn't have all of that to worry about. So it was a little bit more, a lot less pressure on what to do or what to say. And grant when we won, we had people come up to us and want to interview. So, but it's a win. So I'm happy. Um, but I also appreciated that after a loss, I can just go away and to my house and just sulk or be mad or whatever for that loss. At that level, at the NBA, I don't know if it's part of their contract or something that you have to show up. And like just the infamous, I think it was Marshawn Lynch. Like he's just here so he doesn't get fined because I'm here now. I don't know if you have to actually say something, but just showing up, that's enough. And that's what some NBA players may start doing. Like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. But outside of conversation and any of that, there's nothing to talk about. Like, just relax.
Well, and you mentioned interviews, and I know one of the most infamous interviews that happened years ago was with Allen Iverson, and I think you have that. Do you have that clip?
I do, and we're gonna watch
Oh
that.
my goodness.
It's easy to sum it up when you just talk about practice. We sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice. I know I'm supposed to be there. I know I'm supposed to lead by example. I know that. And I'm not shoving it aside, like it don't mean anything. I know it's important. I do. I honestly do. But we talking about practice, man. What
It, I just, when you look at that clip and you hear what he's saying, and it's like he was interviewed, and I guess he didn't show up for a practice or his demeanor in practice or whatever, but everybody like took that out of to me they took that out of context because he had literally he had a death. One of his friends was murdered. There were some other things that had happened prior to that interview, and all we know is he talking about practice, and
Right.
it just speaks to now that happened years ago,
Hmm.
when social media wasn't a thing. But because we now have this thing called social media, we can pull clips together of things that happen. We can slice and dice and put information together, and it leaves the viewer, the listener, feeling a certain way about something, and it may not have been that.
Yeah. When I that is an infamous interview because all you hear is him saying practice. We talking about practice, and kids watching it, growing up in the sport. Some of them may, because it was taken out of context, some of them may say, well, yeah, it is just practice as long as I come and show up on the court or on the field or whatever. I mean, because when I watched it, then I also saw other sports like around the world when people were talking about practice and they like practice just making it a funny. But when you understand, like if you've ever seen that full interview, I mean, he literally was like, let these people talk because my best friend just died. Yeah, we lost because they were in the playoffs, they lost, so their season is over. And it's just like, you go from thinking like, yeah, practice ain't nothing, like as long as I show up to a game, to you are allowed to feel and go through things, and you might have to miss practice because you have personal things going on outside of your professional career. And so sometimes we forget that things happen outside of where we have to show up to work, and still got to deal with that. Like, it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. But he literally, like, they were saying that 2 days prior to that interview, his best friend's murder trial was starting. So you gotta deal with all of that and still show up to this interview and be professional. It's like, okay, I got something for y'all, because y'all are not about to treat me like I just show up when I need to or don't. No, there is a lot of context behind practice.
Right. And and like I said, I honestly, I didn't watch the full interview until recently. And that's when I learned more about how challenging it is, the psyche of an athlete in what they are expected to do. And like I said, social media today plays a huge factor in how people see themselves, how they're perceived by others. As a celebrity, everything that you do is scrutinized. We talk about the WNBA with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, this rivalry that everybody wants, this narrative that everybody wants to have about them. And Angel Reese, she's perceived as this villain, and she's just so, she hates Caitlin Clark, and then there was some talk about she felt that there was some racial statements made to her at their game that they played against the Fever, and the NBA investigated, found that it was nothing, or they couldn't substantiate it. And so now it's like, did she make it up? I mean, but it's like, when you have that much pressure or that much negativity that comes your way, and all you're trying to do is put the ball in the basket, you're competing, so you're gonna get hyped and whatnot. But everybody has something to say, and it's like, how does that affect an athlete when, as we talk about, they're human. Like, they're gonna do some things that you may not like, but because we have conditioned the world, you and I have started a podcast to talk, it's like we just get to say and do whatever, as if these people have no feelings or shouldn't have any feelings of how that makes them feel.
Yeah, social media is a gift and a curse. Like, that is, again, it's especially for those who are like the face of social media. It's another one of those damn if you do, damn if you don't. Because when we just talk about the WNBA, and I'm going to go back to your comment about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. When we talk about the WNBA, it was always, they're not this, or they can't dunk a ball, and this and that. And okay, so now you got players who are amazing in the game, and rivalries are good for the sport. Like, if you think about, like, to this day, I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan still hates Isaiah Thomas. I'm pretty sure. Or there's still like or at the time, I don't know if this is still true or not, but like the Cavs and the Warriors, that was a rivalry. Like, we just did, so now, Angel Reese is not the caliber of player as Caitlin Clark. We know that. But it's good for the sport. These ladies, and I've heard Caitlin Clark go to for Angel Reese for several things, because the media is like pushing out this narrative about them. And it's like, yes, rivalries for the sport are great because it just makes it that much more fun to watch. But you think about, when Angel Reese said that a fan made a racial comment, that is probably true. Like, it probably did happen, because she is scrutinized for everything under the sun. Literally. Not even just her play. Now, one of her games, she was 0 for awful. And it's like, girl, you play at the basket. How could you not put the ball in the basket at least once? But she's scrutinized for the way she dresses, the way she looks, what she says, who she's associated with. So it's just like, she doesn't get a break for anything. And then it's like you compile that with Caitlin Clark. Oh, she doesn't like Caitlin Clark, or she's this and she's that, and it's like this still is her sport. So if they have a rivalry on the court, let that be. Like, let that ride out, because it just makes the sport more entertaining to watch. Now, I did see, because Caitlin Clark is out. She's hurt. They play on June 7th, which is next Saturday. I saw that the ticket sales for that game dropped 71%.
Correct. And I mean, it's like, so Caitlin, she got hurt. I mean, she's an athlete. She's playing a sport. She's injured. So don't nobody want to come see the game at all. Like, it's so disheartening when you become the face of the league or the face of your team, that everything that you do affects, or there's a reaction to everything that you do. And we talk so much about a person's name, and obviously Caitlin Clark is a household name now. I mean, 4 years ago, she couldn't have imagined how much fanfare and how much how her name, her persona, her athleticism, her game has completely transformed the WNBA. I mean, completely. And this happened before she even got to the W. But because of her name and the Angel Reese and the Asia Wilson, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, when you say these names, automatically something happens to you. Like, you get this feeling of or ooh, or you get this feeling of I don't like them, or I wish this. And I mean, and it's like, what happened to just mutual respect for what they bring to the table? But yet we're so conditioned to have this love-hate type feeling about these athletes, and it's very, very difficult because I guess we feel like they owe us something. We're paying to come see you play, or so because of that, I get to say and do whatever I want to say or do.
And it irks me how us regular folks act like we know these people on a personal level.
That's right.
Like, I don't know Caitlin Clark or LeBron James. Like, I don't know these people. So for me to have an opinion like, oh, why would she come out the house like that? Like, I don't care. Like, I know them for their sport. They are great in their sport. Now, what they do outside of their sport, how they present themselves, great. Because they know that the sport is a reflection of everything they do, so it's just it's very weird that people sit behind a computer screen or a phone screen or whatever they use for social media and just feel that what they say is going to cross the eyes of Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark or Asia Wilson or LeBron James. Like, they don't care. And so I think that is very weird. Like, when I watch TV or I watch the game and I see that they're not performing, it's like, dang, she can't hit the broadside of a barn today. But I'm not like, oh, she's nothing as a person. And people, like, really take time to post these just nasty comments or praise these people like, oh, I'm the biggest fan. No, you're not. No, you not. Like, it's thousands, millions of other fans just like you. So pipe down, because these are these people's lives. Like, they have a right to live somewhat of a normal life, whatever normal looks like to them. And social media is a gift and a curse, because it's people can hide behind a screen and do and say whatever they feel with nothing happening to them.
Right. Yeah. And like, Kevin Durant, we've talked about him. He's one who will clap back in a minute. The minute somebody posts something, and that's the thing. And so now you create this perception of a person because they respond, you know, like uh one of the monikers that we were taught is if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. But it's like we've created this dialogue that you should always have something to say because it keeps the narrative going, it keeps conversation going. And obviously in the W with Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, their rivalry, if we didn't have anything to say, then it's like, well, what else would we be talking about?
Right.
You
Right.
know, and so on one hand, it's like, okay, it makes for good discussion, I guess, but it also can be very destructive. And, you know, I think about a player like Ben Simmons. You remember, you know, okay, played for Philadelphia, uh, number one pick, you know, just amazing player. And Philly just could not get over the hump. They had a bomb roster, played Atlanta in a playoff series, and they ended up losing, and people just trashed him. So ever since that happened, he got traded to Brooklyn, and now he's with the Clippers, but he's just not the same player. But people came for him, like, and he literally said, like, mentally, this is hurtful, you know,
Yeah.
because they question his work ethic. They question his, you know, the fact that he's making all this money and he's just garbage. And it's like, at one point, he was an all-star.
Right.
And so what are you doing? How do you change? How do you help a person move from, I mean, he had injuries, he had a significant back injury, so he had to have medical procedures to correct whatever ailments he was dealing with. But it's like he had no past, and people just came for him. But his name is Ben Simmons, so it's like you're supposed to do blah, or because I say your name, you supposed to be better than what's happening. And it's like, okay, but he eats, sleeps, uses the bathroom, talks on the phone, hugs his mama. Like, they do the same things that the people who are so critical of them do, but
Right.
because they have a name, it is heightened.
Yeah, you know, one thing that you can do is turn the comments off on like these social media platforms. But ESPN is just as bad as Instagram and Facebook and what have you because you actually see these people. It actually might be worse because I know these athletes when they're chilling. It's like, oh, let's watch ESPN, and some of them may be like, no, I'm not watching that because you don't know what Stephen A or whatever may say. But it's like that's worse because you're actually putting a face to the people that are criticizing you day in and day out. At least social media, these people can hide behind a profile or what have you. I mean, you can see who they are. But for ESPN, you can like see these people just going in on you, and it's like you shouldn't have to turn your comments off or not watch something because of what people may say. But it's just like let them be humans. You're
Well,
gonna win, you're gonna lose.
correct. And you mentioned, you know, Stephen A because he got in some trouble. He started talking about Bronny James. And, you know, the situation was if you are going to be an analyst or someone who critiques sports or athletes or whatever, at what point is it too personal? And when he started questioning LeBron James as a father, I think that's where people felt he crossed the line, and clearly that's where LeBron felt he crossed the line because he charged that brother up like during a game. Now it was a pause in the game, it was a timeout or halftime or whatever, but it was still during the game. So it's like your actions, you know, where you should be focused on, you know, shooting and scoring and defending, and you should be all in on what's happening on the court. You literally took time to actually go up to this man. And so that's where it's like, you know, because you're LeBron James, we get to say whatever about everything you do. And again, what I mean, LeBron he's had to deal with this ever since he got into the league, before he got into the league. So he's learned the price of fame. He's understood that. He knows people are going to take shots at him. So he has dealt with that. But when you get to some of these younger players, some of these younger athletes, and you start harping in on them personally, which I think is where we as media or people who want to be sideline reporters or home side reporters, we really have to take a pause and reflect on what does that look like, and how, because they have the name and they're famous, that we may truly be, we're just not respectful, and we're not we're desensitized to the human side of what they bring.
Yeah, because, and to bring back, as we close out May and Mental Health Awareness Month, these athletes, is to your point, it's very unfortunate that people feel the need to just attack and take shots, because on a regular level, like for regular people on social media, and somebody posts a nasty comment, then it's like people actually take their lives for things that they see on social media or things that are said. And so it's like, because they're a professional, they're supposed to be immune or know how to handle. We're still people. And so for like a LeBron, if he wasn't in the headspace of just blocking out the noise, the scrutiny and all the things that he's gotten, it would make sense for people to be like at his aid or supporting him, like, you good, checking on him frequently, because it's nonstop. And I wanted to bring in like us as regular people, because it's no different. You just put a name, or this is their profession, and so it's like, no, they got feelings too, and it's not fair to them to use their profession as a way of getting to them, because for us normal regular folks, it hurts us, it to the core, like, how could they say that, or but it's no different. It does not matter what they do, who they are in the world. At the end of the day, they still go home to their wives or husbands or families, and still have to check in and let their family know, like, yeah, I need some support and love, and
Yeah,
what
I'm
have
not
you.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
not okay. Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny that we talk about the price of fame, and the name that is the height of the name of the individual, and the access that we feel that we have to that person, because, like I said, they owe us. You want to be a celebrity, okay, well, here's, and it's like, did they really want to be a celebrity, or did they just want to play the sport that they love and
Yeah.
was really good at it, and found that it could be their profession? Now they make a lot of money,
Mhm.
but but when you see your name, Brittany, and I see you wearing your name today, what does that mean to you? Like, does that set you off in a certain mindset? Like, okay, I deserve this, or I should, or what, or now I'm exposed and susceptible to scrutiny.
Yeah, well, one big reason why I wear my name is because a lot of people don't spell it right. Okay? There's no A in my name. There are two T's, Ney. So phonetically, if you say Brittany, that is exactly how it's spelled. Okay. But yeah, it's just there's a pride that you carry about yourself or your name. And I've never really been big on like accolades and acknowledgments, because it's like, if I know I'm hooping, I'm going out there to do one thing, and that's to hoop. Now again, I'm not on that professional level like the top athletes and stuff, so I don't necessarily have to worry about all of that comes with it. But my family probably is just as bad as these people out here, because it's like, you represent yourself. And so, you know what? I'm actually going to turn this back to you and ask you, because this is episode 9, and of the 9, 8 of them, you've actually worn your name every time. so, so what, first of all, what's the story behind that? But when we talk about wearing your name, or, being out there letting people know in the world that, oh, I'm Moya, you don't know these people from Adam.
Right.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it's funny because as a little girl or young person, my dad was really, really big. He's a very prideful individual, but he was very big on the family name, like his name. And so, from Milwaukee Bucks fans, you heard Marcus Johnson was my favorite Buck player. We could never wear a jersey with somebody else's name on the back. Couldn't do it. And all of our friends, they got the Sidney Moncriefs or the Bob Lanier jerseys or Marcus Johnson, and we couldn't do it. And his statement was, why wear the name of some other person when you should be proud of your name? Mm-hmm. And obviously he was talking about his name because, right. Bayless that's his thing. But we should take more pride in the fact of who we are and make that make sense. Make that be the thing for you. Because once you appreciate and acknowledge your name, there is a level of responsibility that comes with that. And it instilled something in me over the years, a level of pride. And my name is very uncommon. So, of course, when I say my name, right away, people could think, I'm from another country or, where did that name come from? And the reality of it is it meant something to him when he named me. And so I've tried to carry that as like a badge of honor, like my name means something. Now, why I have all these jerseys was over the years to make that message resonate. We get holiday gifts every year for the past 28 years. We get some article of clothing with our name on it. My siblings and I, it has now spilled down to the grandchildren. So your cousins, your first cousins, and, I think the great-grands will probably be in it. But it literally, truly has taught us a level of pride and an understanding that your name means something. So for me, I just really, I appreciate my dad for having that sense of pride. I don't criticize other people who wear jerseys and with other people's names because that's what they do. Jersey sales are out of control because of it, because people want Shedeur Sanders or they want Giannis Antetokounmpo or Steph Curry but literally you're saying somebody else's name. Like you are literally giving life and energy and support to another person. So why not do that for yourself? Like, why not make yourself feel, you don't have to be a famous person to do it, because you are famous in your own right. Like, you are the number one stunner for yourself. So, so to me, and I love my name, and there's more of these to come. Like I said, 28 years of getting an article of clothing.
And we've only seen 8. So
you said what?
We've only seen 8.
Yeah, so there's more to come. And they're all different. Now some colors are similar, but I, and shout out to, my dad, Ellis Bayless. senior, your grandfather. He instills so much into me as a young woman, and I became very confident because of that. So anytime I'm somewhere and we go around the room and introduce yourself, I can't wait till it's my time to be like, I'm Moya Bayless and I am, whatever.
A celebrity in my own
And
right.
yes, I am a celebrity in my own right. And I'm not arrogant about it. I just appreciate that I recognize the importance of who I am, and as we talk about mental health awareness, it means something for me to be out, to be known, or to be in circles and talk about people or whatever, but be able to appreciate the inner core of who I am. I know who I am. I love who I am. And a lot of that is because of this level of pride that was instilled in me. But you got one on too, so you understand.
Yeah. Y'all have seen the two that I have. So I'm done. I'm done. You'll keep going with this. But all of that just in the words of the great Keaton Ivory Wayans. Message.
There is a message.
There is a message.
Well, I am so happy that we get to have this discussion, and this talk back. It's been really refreshing and uplifting for me to be able to hear your thoughts, because we do represent two different generations. Obviously, we're mother-daughter, but to be able to have this banter back and forth about real life things that are happening, as we close out, mental health is something that people still is kind of like that silent ailment that people are going through, because nobody wants to publicly acknowledge something that could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is people take it and keep it in. They don't want to talk about it. And I feel like, we're giving ourselves a platform to be able to talk about a lot of things. And, in humor we bring in, but these are real life examples that we've experienced. And I just appreciate being able to share this platform with you.
Yeah, I shared the same sentiments. It's just it's kind of normalizing that it's okay to talk about these hard topics. We're talking about sports, but just sprinkling in on mental health, it never goes away. Okay, I know it's Mental Health Awareness Month and we're closing out the month, but that is something that is every day. So you don't have to just, once May 31st comes, like, mental health goes away. No, it doesn't. So again, the message that we're going to continue to speak on is checking in with your people. It's okay to not be okay, but when you're not okay, letting somebody know, like, let somebody support and help you. Because I know in my world, I'm so used to helping and serving and giving that I tend to be that one that goes quiet, because I don't want to feel like a burden to somebody else. Because it's like, well, you're a social worker. You should know how to handle. But I need love and affection too. Okay? So I'm sure there are many others around the world that have the same thought and feelings. So take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. If it's just drinking some water, going for a walk, watching TV, being in the sun, I don't know. We all got different things that make us go. But it's you. Only you know yourself best. So treat yourself. Love on yourself. I love my mama. So,
I love
I'm
you
always
too.
check on her.
So, but the last part of what you said is love on yourself. And I think a lot of that just speaks to being okay with who you are. But if you pour more into yourself, you actually might start to appreciate how significant your name is and how important it is to the world. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
signing off tonight.
See y'all later.
Have a good one.